Hey, Jeremy, you got to check out this post on Facebook.
Trying to meditate, Steve.
Want this diet cream soda?
Not right now, Steve. It's not a good time.
Hey, you would not believe what Trump said this time.
Don't even go there, Steve. Michelle, I swear to God, if you ring that bell one more time, I'm gonna freaking lose it.
Hey, dude, you got to chill out.
All right, that's it. I cannot do this. I am gonna take those chips.
Hey!
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Let me start by asking you this question. How many of you are dealing with stress? Raise your hand. How about anger, anxiety, sadness, depression? Anyone free from all five of those things? If you are, I apologize. This will be a complete waste of your time. So you are free to go. But if any of you are dealing with anger, stress, anxiety, sadness, depression, that's what we're going to look at. I'm going to start with a basic intro of myself, and then we'll just get started. My name is Jeffrey Zlotnik. I grew up here in San Diego, been here most of my life. I went to college out in Arizona. When I was there, I was working in group homes, counseling adolescents who had been physically, sexually, emotionally abused. At this time, I was introduced to a meditation practice by a psychology professor. And he said, Jeff, you're kind of an angry, depressed kid. You should try this. And so I did. Nothing else that was healthy and free seemed to work. So I started to do meditation in my life. I then began to share it with these kids. And that was something over 20 years ago that really stuck out in my mind as I would sit with these kids. We'd close our eyes for 5 minutes. We'd open our eyes, and then the whole world seemed different. So I graduated college, went on to the consulting world, did that for 7-8 years, and was still pretty unhappy. So 2003, I stopped all that. I started taking meditation into the prisons here in San Diego. 2007, I started in the schools. And by 2009, I was taking meditation to schools, prisons, hospitals, cancer clinics, victims of abuse, domestic violence, Catholic charities, Christian youth groups. I started about 10 years ago in the wounded warrior population, working within the Naval Medical Center Balboa, Point Loma Naval Base, dealing with active military and veterans as well. And so by 2009, I found myself in probably 25, 30 places a week, bringing meditation. And so I founded what we call the Meditation Initiative, which is a 501c3 educational nonprofit. And I sit with thousands of people a year, getting them to do absolutely nothing for free. So that's what we're going to do right now, is we're going to do absolutely nothing. So we're just going to get started with the practice. There's a few things I'll tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. Okay, you're not going to float away. You won't have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice. Meaning, don't ask yourself, is this working? Is it not working? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And the practice of meditation is learning to get quiet and still within all the chaos. Posture, you just want to be comfortable. If you're on a chair, you can just kind of sit up straight, or a couch, whatever you're sitting on. Shoulders are relaxed. I'm not big on crossing the legs and holding the fingers funny ways. It's got nothing to do with sitting. So finding a position that's comfortable. Again, hands can be on the knees or in the lap. Eyes are closed if comfortable. If not, slightly open. I sit with a lot of populations that are not comfortable with their eyes closed, so open is fine. Mouth will be open and closed, or closed, whatever is most comfortable for you. I will guide us as we begin, and we will settle into a little bit of silence. Most important with this practice is don't expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And again, starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths slowly And eventually, you'll settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. And throughout the practice, you'll hear sounds. These are not distractions, not disruptions. Simply what's happening around you as you sit. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it, release that thought, return attention, focus to the breath. Letting go of expectations, letting go of judgment, just sitting, breathing. Keeping the mind alert, aware of each sound, each thought, each physical sensation, yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. No one else to be. Everything beautiful, just as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. As you slowly open the eyes, slowly begin to move. Most important with the practice of meditation is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you'd prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how we sit and hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It's everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external situation. And what we realize from this practice is this is our life every single day. Things happen, we react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. This practice is learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way we responded to this practice is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. This practice is not easy. It's not necessarily fun, but it's free. It's simply sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do. Once we stop trying to change, fix, control, manipulate everything around us, and we work on changing our mind and our reaction to the world around us, life gets simpler. And in reality, not much changed except us and our reaction. And that's it. With this practice, I try not to complicate it. For me, it's a very simple practice of just sitting and breathing. So what I'd like to do now is just take a few moments and address what typically comes up, especially for beginners, as some of the most frequently asked questions. If you have a regular meditation practice, then my hope is that this just inspires you to continue, and that you, if for whatever reason have fallen out of your daily routine, that you come back to it. But for those who are new and maybe experiencing this for the first time, a few of the most common questions I get, first is how often should I meditate? And my response to that is, I like to look at it as brushing our teeth. Okay, we brush our teeth every single day. All right, we wake up in the morning, splash water in our face, we brush our teeth. It's just our routine. Right? If we had a fire in the house, we would still brush our teeth. Okay? Hopefully not, but I think you understand my point. It's become a habit. And so my hope is that the meditation practice is the same thing, right? It's something you do at the start of every day. It doesn't need to be 30 minutes. It doesn't need to be at a class. You don't need incense. You don't have to sit on funny pillows. It's just taking 5 minutes every day to allow your mind to settle, no different than brushing your teeth. So I recommend daily practice. Morning or nighttime is okay. I'm a big fan of doing it first thing in the morning, just so it's done. It kind of prepares you for the day. If you have trouble sleeping, which most people I work with do, then you can do this practice prior to going to sleep. Just sit at the edge of the bed for 5 minutes, deep breath in, deep breath out, count 1. Deep breath in, deep breath out, count 2. So you can simply just sit at the edge of the bed and breathe and take some breaths, counting in, counting out. And that's it. As far as time, another common question is, how long should I meditate? And my answer to that is 5 minutes. Again, especially for those who are brand new. I'm not a big fan of thinking that you have to do this for 30 minutes or an hour, because the reality is if you're brand new to this practice, you're probably not going to carve out 30, 40 minutes every day. I'm lucky if you'll give it 5 minutes a day. So take 5 minutes every day, and that's it. Try to build this into your daily routine, as I said earlier. Make it a habit, right? I always suggest that you try this every day for 3 weeks, 5 minutes, and then take a week off. Now, why would I suggest taking a week off? It allows you to see the difference. So you can look at your stress and anxiety and how calm or hectic things are in your mind during the 3 weeks that you're doing the practice. And chances are, if you're doing this every day for 3 weeks, life will slow down a little bit. And then when you take a week off, you'll begin to see how quickly your mind goes back to being a racing, hectic, crazy mess, which I know all too well. I've been doing this over 20 years, every day for 18 years, and I still do it every single day. Again, not about how long, but just making sure you sit for 5 minutes every day. And hopefully after the week off, you'll be a little more inspired and motivated from recognizing how much it has helped you. And this ties into really one of the next questions, which is who we do this practice for. Very often we think that it's all about us. And yes, we want to take care of our own stress and anxiety. But the reality is, how many of you like dealing with people who are angry and stressed out all day long? Probably not so much. So we do this practice initially for us, but then we begin to recognize that it benefits everybody around us. So our family, our friends, loved ones, people we work with, the more we take care of our mind and calm ourselves, the better it will be for them. Okay. What stops us from meditation? It's important to begin to recognize that we have so many things we turn to deal with stress and anxiety, so many escapes. We run out of time. And yet we find ourselves, time is the number one thing that people will say stops them from meditation. They will say, I don't have time. And my response to that always is, we have time, we just don't make time. Right? Think about how much time we spend watching Netflix or flipping through channels, or how much time we spend just kind of staring off. Right? We spend a lot of time wasted. And not that all of that time is wasted, but most of us have 5 minutes that we could take every single day. So when people tell me they don't have time, I challenge them back with, do you waste an hour a day? The answer to that for most people is yes. So my suggestion is, do this 5 minutes a day. You can still waste 55 minutes, and I probably haven't wasted any of your time. All right. This will really help. I look at it as like the oxygen mask on the airplane. They tell you to put it on yourself first and then take care of others. So this will help you first, and in turn, it will allow you to turn around and take care of others. Eyes open or eyes closed? Another very common question. And, I'll say this in general, that if you ask 100 people who lead you in meditation, you'll get 100 different answers. None of them necessarily right or wrong or good or bad. They're all different. And it's important to understand that if somebody tells you this is the way and the only way, and then they ask you for a bunch of money, you should probably get up and run. But other than that, recognize that everybody has a different approach to meditation. So I don't want to tell you that eyes open or eyes closed is better or worse. What I will say is see what works for you. See what's more comfortable for you, right? If your eyes are closed during meditation and you're constantly falling asleep, then try doing an eyes open practice. If your eyes are open during meditation and you find yourself just kind of lost in too much stuff that maybe you're, looking around, then try an eyes closed practice. So do what's most comfortable for you. Same thing with the breathing. Often people ask, do I breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth and in through the left ear and out through the right nostril? I don't get wrapped up in those things. For me, most important is breathing. Just make sure you're breathing naturally and that you're breathing comfortably. That's what's most important. Same thing with eyes, comfortable. Same thing with breathing, comfortable. Same thing with posture, comfortable. If this practice is not physically comfortable for you, you're probably not going to do it too much. So try to find yourself in a comfortable position. And then the last kind of thing around time and setting up meditation I'll recommend is be consistent with when you do it. So if you wake up at 6 a.m. every day, put in your calendar and your phone, whatever you use right now, 6:10 to 6:15. Put it in your calendar, put it on repeat, and hit end never. Every single day, your alarm will go off and it'll tell you meditation 6:10. You might turn that alarm off. You might skip it for 3 months, and eventually you might say, you know what, I need this practice. For me, it was waking up and realizing I can only be angry and miserable for so long that I need to find something that's going to help me deal with the anger. And that's what meditation was. But when you're beginning to create it as a habitual pattern and a daily routine, then try to be consistent with it, right? So as I said earlier, wake up, whatever time it is, get up. You can go brush your teeth. If you want to have your coffee, have your coffee. Often people ask, can you drink coffee and meditate? Well, of course, right? I'm not trying to change your daily life. I'm simply suggesting you add in something 5 minutes a day that will help. And if you do it at the same time and you commit to doing it at the same time every day, I think you'll find it incredibly beneficial. Types of meditation. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but for me, I always suggest people trying to find 5 minutes a day to just sit quietly and breathe. But there's also guided meditations. Those are wonderful. Nowadays you can, there's so many apps out there for meditation. That's wonderful. You can listen to apps, you can listen to CDs, music. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. You can do walking meditation. Walking meditations are really wonderful, right? You can do eating meditations, just slowly, mindfully paying attention to what you're actually eating. Drinking tea can be a meditation. So anything that you are doing as a level of concentration and focus is your meditative practice. So for me, meditation is not an escape. It's not getting lost in la la land, right? It's not closing your eyes and pretending you're sailing down a river and looking at all the birds and trees and flowers, right? It's not a daydream. It is a concentration and focus on the present moment. And whatever you're doing, that is your meditation practice. If it's sitting and breathing, focus on breathing. If it's eating, focus on eating. If it's walking, focus on walking. So it really is anything you're doing in the present moment. And the last thing I want to share today, before I let you all go, is meditation is free. It's simply sitting, breathing. There's a lot of people out there making a lot of money on your stress, your anxiety, your anger, your sadness, your depression. And for me, I've found meditation to be the simplest and most healthy way for one to gain control of their emotions. You don't have to pay anybody for that, right? Just sit, breathe, help yourself find a sense of peace and calm, and carry that into your day. And other people will thank you for it. They'll recognize that you're doing something differently. They'll recognize that you're a little calmer, a little clearer. Because the reality is, when we're done here, this feeling of quiet and calm and stillness, it will go away, unfortunately. So we practice this not to be good at meditation, but to carry that into everything else we do in our lives. So I appreciate you sitting here and joining me today. I appreciate you doing this practice. I appreciate you adding this into your life. And I wish you well. And again, thank you for your time.